I can't read Twitch chat yet. I've got to go. Got to finish messaging people and going to Twitch place. Going to my channel. Pressing the button that says chat. Now I can see chat. And it's too hot in here. I don't think that's related to me being able to see chat, but it might be. Okay. I'll get my mouse. So I haven't really thought recently about what's the best way to make Diagonal Lily work. I mean, I've had vague thoughts for a while, and we're just going to try doing some stuff, and we're going to see how it goes. I don't know if we will succeed on this stream, but we might. We might not. But I'll be very happy if we do, because it's like one of the harder problems that uh, that we have to encounter, or that the new system was designed for, really. Um, it was designed to handle many things, most of which we've handled now successfully, which is great. But there's this one. So to refresh people's memories, I can go to Bug Garden, most of which bugs are fixed. But one of them is, if you look at this little guy over here, he's sort of going around. Wow, we've got a low frame rate right now on this debug build, but no biggie. I think our character animation is super slow in debug build, so if you load a level with this many characters, it's nutty. That's something I have to work on sometime. Anyway, so if you see this guy can never walk from one lily onto the other because they're always diagonal to each other. And if you just think about this being, a grid if you think about the state being that you can only travel horizontally or vertically, and everything moves instantaneously, then you can never actually do this. Except, of course, you should be able to actually do this. So, and usually this is not really the case that usually happens. Usually you have a much longer, like a lily going left to right and one going right to left, and then just it looks like they pass by each other, but they don't happen to pass by each other on a grid square, so you can't go. But hopefully we can fix that. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my usual test level here, and we're just going to recreate this situation right here. Let's get rid of some of these other things. Probably don't need to get rid of everything, but we'll get rid of a few things. Okay, so we need to make some river action here. Erase this. Okay, so that's going to go there, 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 there. Little tight little river scenario. So here we go. So now no matter how I try, I can't get on there. Just can't do it. So let's get rid of that. See, I can't ever, no matter how much I spam, I can't ever move. It's illegal always. So I think the first step is to successfully detect this, right? Because if we're going to do a special handler for this, we need to detect it. And yeah. So what does it mean to detect this? It means if I'm standing in a place and I mean, basically there's several conditions. So the lilies have to be moving anti-parallel to each other. And I need to be moving into the target square of where one of them is going to end up. We're going to say if they've successfully already moved, it's just too late. I can't do this move, right? So these guys are slowly going. And then once they pass the thing, it's too late. Now, that might sound bad because it's like, oh, it's kind of unresponsive if I can't start moving from here. But if we can detect this situation when you're trying to move, we could detect it before you're trying to move. And in that case, tell the Lily transaction not to commit until toward the end to give you the maximum amount of leeway. That will be entertaining, but we're not going to do that yet. We're just going to do the basic handling. And so first we're going to do the basic detection. So if I try to move and I'm on a lily and it's anti-parallel to another lily, etc., we're just going to put a message on the screen. All right, and we already sort of have some lily handling, so we want to plug this into some of that other stuff. Let's just see where we talk about lilies. So if a guy's supported by something, if we can't go yet, but would be able to go if an obvious movement transaction were committed, then go after that. Okay. I think we want it here. This is phrased here in this comment like it says lily timing, but this is really if you're riding on rovers or anything like that. Maybe if the mean of old state and new state results in the lilies being adjacent. No, you don't really you don't really need that. Now the question is, does this, so I don't actually know if maybe wait for supporter transaction actually returns something in this case, because the thing is, by the time that transaction happens, it will have carried you to a new position, and so maybe this says bah. So I'm going to say if must go after short game report wait for it. So if we see wait for it appear on the screen, then we're okay. So I'm going to slow this down and I'm going to try to go left. Oh wait, that was too soon. I didn't see wait for it. I'm spamming. I'm not ever seeing a wait for it. My guy's just moving everywhere. Okay, so let's actually go look at that code. I was see if this had kicked in, then we wouldn't have had to look at this. All right. Okay, so this is, did we find one of these? Still too hot in here, man. All right, so oh yeah, this is checking where will we be after the thing. Okay. So we have this supporter transaction. Okay. Um, I'm going to make this a separate function. I feel like what we do might eventually need to combine with this to be the most robust, but we're going to say uh, I'm just going to pass all the same stuff. And if do merge short game report should merge. What that means we'll talk about later. So, whoops, it's called maybe wait. Boy, all these maybe functions. We'll call it supporter. Consistent naming is good. Okay, I'm just going to return bool for now. Okay, so we're just going to check that this is the Lily transaction. It's the only one we're going to let you merge with for now. Um, so that has flags. It says is Lily transaction. Okay. We're going to paste a little bit of stuff from here for now. Where we find this. Oh, let's do this. Let's do all this. Ugh, that's a lot to copy and paste. Um, okay, we're just going to say, we're not going to cut and paste that. We're going to say found is get find um, find relevant single move from supporter transaction. Okay, I'll say manager. What do we need in there? E dot supported by ID. That's all we need. If not found, return false. Manager is E dot entity manager. We're going to use that, and we're going to put this code, and we're going to do this. Oh, we need the info. Okay. Um, oh wait. Yeah. Okay. So we want to say this thing move info ID is a PID returning a move transaction dot single move. By the way, that's a pointer to that. Okay. So return null. So we're going to do that. This is just ID. Turn found. Okay. So move this up here. Should merge. Put this just in case. I don't know why we wouldn't pass that, but we're going to do that. Okay, so we do all this. Okay. So now any lily that is moving into the target square, any lily in T that is moving into the target square, and that is moving anti-parallel to the supporter's motion. Okay. I'll catch it before I compile, Sean. Hey, Sean. We'll see if this works. So this diagonal lily thing that I am trying to address now is one of the cases that Sean and I discussed in a video that's up on YouTube. Let me find it and I'll paste the link for people who might want it. It is called what is it called? I'm gonna go to my channel on YouTube and find it for a second. It's called Puzzle Game Movement System, maybe? Yeah, okay. So I should also close this Twitch window because that's not going to help. So this link, there's a quite lengthy discussion about the movement systems, generally speaking, in this game, and what the problems are, and what I tried before, and what we're running now. Which the system that we discuss toward the end of that video has held up continually, so it's probably what we're going to ship with. But this thing that we're doing now is sort of one of the big tests of like, can it handle this? And I'm pretty sure it can. I don't see why it wouldn't, but sometimes in computers you get surprised. If it can't handle it, what do I do next? I cancel the game and quit the game industry. Okay, so we do some things. So we find a relevant move. Okay, so there can only be, because of the way lilies work, there can be only one, like Highlander lily moving into the target square. So after we check such a lily, we can break even if it doesn't satisfy. Okay. So for um, okay, um, if target single dot move info dot move type is not equal to dot linear, is it called linear interpolation? Yeah, we should change this back to linear move or something like, or make a specific lily move, which I'm not going to do right now. It used to be called linear move in the old system, and then I changed the name so I wouldn't get confused between the old system and the new system, but this is an annoying name. Continue. It's got to be a linear interpolation. We're going to check that first because that's the cheapest thing to check, although maybe that's not a good idea because these are going to mostly be linear interpolations. All right. And I just thought of something. We're not going to worry about the thing that I just thought about, okay? We're not going to worry about it. Okay, if wrapped distance, what are the arguments to this? Yeah, manager, proximity, grid. We have to wrap to distance everything because sometimes there are wrapping levels. And passing the proximity grid is how we know if it's a wrapping level and also how to wrap. Okay, so if the distance between that and info.target, which is where the player is trying to go, and target single dot move info is greater than 0.5, return, or no, continue. So this is not the right lily, okay? So now, let me move this comment down here because this is where it's actually relevant. So dot is dot product supporter delta, which we haven't defined yet, with info dot delta if dot is greater than minus 0.5 break, not anti-parallel. And we're just gonna return, I guess we're just gonna return true here. For now, we might need to do more things, but we're gonna return true there. Okay, so we need to define supporter delta, which is in found here. We're just gonna say supporter delta is found dot delta. So, found dot move info dot delta. So I've certainly made some mistakes. like not passing enough arguments. We needed to pass the move info. Oh, we didn't, okay. Well, fiddlesticks. Thought I could get away without doing that. It's what happens when I use a short variable name is I just gloss over it sometimes. All right. What's anti-parallel? Yes, parallel but pointing the opposite direction. That is exactly right. When programming alone, do I say everything out loud? No. That would make me so slow at programming. This is just explaining things for the people out there. Okay, we are not detecting, no matter how much I spam. Let me double check. So I think we're going to want to make a debug build, but maybe wait for supporter. Oh no, not maybe wait for supporter. Should merge with, right? So this is what we were returning true from. So we never get there. So, oh wait, it doesn't have to be anti-parallel. I'm dumb. It doesn't have to be anti-parallel. Because in this case, it's obviously not anti-parallel. Like it is in the levels that we usually build, but here, for example, because we're going around in this little 2x2 whirlpool, like, oh no, it is always, hold on, let me think about this. Yeah, no, it actually should work, right? Okay. Well, let's make a debug build and look at that. For all we know, we're not even calling that function at all because we have not looked into this at all. So okay, let's see if we even get there. We might be failing one of these checks, like if I deeply misunderstand what is happening. Okay. Actually, let me skip this for now. Let's hold on. Now we have the arrow key stuck down, as happens sometimes. So I want to slow down time. If I could slow down time. Okay, so that should do it. And we did get past our first two if statements, which is great. Did we found? Yes. Okay. So found. We don't. Okay, so it says I'm trying to go into 6.5. Now Lily is trying to go into 6.6. So automatically. Oh no. That's okay. In info.target, I believe, is where I'm trying to go. This is where the thing I'm standing on is trying to go. which is weird. Okay, what I think has happened is that some other piece of code might have kicked in already and modified uh, where I'm trying to go. Because we have several things. Because I mean I should have looked at the coordinates before, but let me just look at where the entity is. Right. Oh, come on, it's E. It's not entity. It's E. So the guy's in 6, 6 right now. What? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh no, yes it does. Right. Okay. I'm just confused about which Lily we're talking about. Right. So the guy and the Lily are in the same. Well, no. Did we already force? Oh, you know what? I skipped the physically moved check. Maybe that's in here. Um, it's physically moved. Okay. Somebody previously is causing us to commit our move. And I have a fear of commitment and I don't want this to happen. So we need to fix that, but we also need to fix some things here. Um, right, I think we accidentally deleted that. Well, we sort of had it here, but you know what? We could put all this, since we're passing this transaction in here, we'll put all this in there. I'm moving this down because we removed the null check for T. That's kind of goofy. Saving a line that's really not the best idea. What problems would we have if game developers wrote the OS? It depends on which ones. The phrase game developers includes a large number of people from many different places who have many different ways of programming. For example, do you want the game developers at Zynga to make your operating system? I do not. I do not want that. Okay, so kind of what I want to do, I mean, I want to recompile this, but, oh, what? Let's see. Oh, this is a null. I am silly. I keep putting falses. Okay. Now, Why do I have folders open here? It's not necessary. Okay. So I want to know why we are committing in this case. So I'm going to start the game. I'm going to slow it down really a lot. Okay. And now I'm going to go to commit. Yeah. So we're just putting a breakpoint there, and then I try to move. So force commit transactions, enact move. Oh yeah. So this is happening in this outer loop. So yeah. So this is not that surprising. Oh wait. Maybe wait for. So there's some kind of someone is returning a must go after here. I'm just going to go up to the top and like must go after. Okay, is willing to go. Might be kicking in. So there should be a kind of breakpoint. Maybe Remedy can add this. There should be a run until you're about to return from this function and then break. You know, because that's the thing you want to know is like where am I returning from this function? Okay, so line 559. That's what I suspect. Wait, not there. I suspect it's this. Wait, no. Yes. Uh, okay, now the problem is we want to recreate this scenario. And now that's already, no, don't do it. I'm just, for everything, sanity's sake, why is my guy not, oh, he's humping the thing. Okay, so I'm going to enable this breakpoint and go. It is here. Right? So is willing to go is returning a must go after. Right? Yeah. And that is saying it's doing this. Yeah, it's this thing. Lily will be there pretty soon. Yeah. So actually we can put our new thing here because this is always going to kick in. This kicks in if you're about to move into a square, or if you're trying to move into a square and a lily is going into that square but isn't in there yet. And that means that this will always fire in the case that we are looking for. So what was our thing called? This thing. Okay. If right, so if the transaction we have to go after is the same one that is supporting us, then we do this thing. Who knows? Who knows if that'll fire? Put a breakpoint on a defer. Well, but you want it, you want that ability without ever editing code. Okay, it still doesn't work, guys. Cancel the game industry. Cancel the game industry. Okay, we get here, but then we go here, and I bet do merge is false. Yep. So let's find out why. Set next statement. Go on down. Okay, it is a Lily transaction. Supporter delta should be x is -1. Yep, we're going to the left. We're going to the left. So info.target is 7, 5. We're at 7, 6, and we're trying to go to 7, 5. Is that really true? I guess, oh, last time we were at 6, 6, and that's because the transaction has committed. Now we are successfully happening before that. You know, it's too cold in here, guys. All right. Now, I mean, we'll just step through, or maybe look. So info target is 7, 5, and oh, we have that up there. 6, 6. That seems like it's the one that I'm standing on. Wait, found and target single are the same. So we found the wrong one. Find relevant single move. Like, wait, what? Oh, no, no, no. We're going to reject this one, of course. Never mind. We're in the loop. We haven't decided this is the right one yet. There we go. See, we rejected it. I reject your hypothesis. Okay, now this one. I think this is the only other lily pad, right? So this one is going to 7, 5. And we are going to 7, 5. So this should be fine. Okay, that's good. This is success. What is the dot product? Minus 0. Okay. I don't like it when my dot product is minus 0. Oh, wait, info. Oh, no, this is the wrong delta. This delta is where the character is trying to go. We want found.moveInfo. We want where the other Lily is trying to go. Okay. See, little mistakes cause us to shut down the entire game industry. It's very bad. All right. Still not happening. What the hell? Restart the game industry so we can shut it down again. But at least now we know we can put our breakpoint later. Yeah. So we're going to put our breakpoint here at the dot product. Okay, we're getting, oh, no. Okay, good. What is it now? 1. 1. Oh, would I pick the wrong one again? Yes, because this is found.moveIn. No, we don't want that. We want the delta of the thing that we're iterating over looking at, you dummy. Like, how? No wonder I don't have a computer science degree. Like, it's shameful, man. All right. Hey, look. We have successfully detected. We've detected the neutrino. Okay, great. That is already success. Like if I went to bed tonight already, because honestly, I started feeling tired as soon as I started, not as soon as I started streaming, but shortly after. It just takes energy out of you. But this is concrete success. This is progress, okay? We're not going to rest on our amazing laurels of amazing progress here. We still have problems with guys who can't go anywhere on lily pads. Like they discontinuously, I don't know why that is, but that's not what we're working on. Okay. Show you the code with the dot product. I closed it too fast. Okay, it's just, I guess Visual Studio is going to be in the right place. So we're iterating over target single. So these single moves are, let me zoom in on this. These single moves are just the different things that are members of this transaction that is the transaction of all the lilies moving, right? So each one of these is a single lily pad moving. We check to make sure that's what it is. We check to make sure it's going into the target square. But then down here, I was dot producting supporter delta, which has been this whole time the delta of the thing that's supporting us, right? And I just put two different things here that were wrong. The thing that's right is just the move of the lily that is what we're considering. That wasn't in this equation at all the prior two attempts. And so obviously it didn't make sense. Like we want to know if this is the right lily that we're iterating over. So that's all. It was just stupid. It's like when you're tossing too many balls at once and you haven't practiced juggling in a while. Yeah. So I put found.moveinfo.delta here, but that was also the wrong one. That's all. Because that is, of course, it's 1.0 because you're dotting it with itself. Okay. So we have detected this. So now the question is, what do we do about it? The first thing we can do is we can add a merge request to this function. I guess, like, I thought about flagging it on the transaction, but let's actually do merge is false, all right? So we get a default value, so most of the returns don't have to care about this. This function, okay. So now we can just move this one level up because there's the whole thing that like does the resolve and all this, right? Okay. Actually, what I should do, let's look at this for a minute. See, this is all because this game is bananas, this is all more complicated than we wish it were, right? So this isn't just handling one guy, right? We're moving a bunch of clones all at the same time, even though usually there's only one clone, right? And any one of them may request this diagonal lily situation, right? And so what this thing does is it says, well, if this thing said we should go before something, move that up. If it says we have to go after something, well, the caller, I guess, sees that and commits everybody up to it. So what we could do is have a merge with transaction. And instead of returning a Boolean, we can return the thing that you want to merge with. And merge with is kind of optional. But we could do, let's look at the caller of this, right? So this is try move clones. And we call that here. And then this is the transaction loop that we probably talked about a lot in the thing with Sean. Where we do try move clones. We pre-close that transaction. We set the time to be before something. This is kind of a hack because you shouldn't really use floating point for this. We can clean that up later. We detect and resolve a conflict if there's no must go after, right? So if either there's a conflict or we have a must go after, we actually just in this loop commit everybody. You could commit everything just up to the go after, but we don't even bother because usually there's just one transaction in flight anyway. We just say commit everything. So, we could be a little more delicate here, but we don't care. So the question is, if we say merge with something, what does that mean? I think, it's complicated because what if the merge with is after the must go before, then the merge with is invalid. But since there's only one place where we do this request, maybe we can check it there and this outer loop doesn't have to care. Maybe the outer loop just says if there's a merge with, we do that. Now the question is, what does that mean? We could do two things. One, we could dump everyone from our transaction into the merge with transaction. and then, abort the one that we're making here, that might have some problems. Or an alternative approach would be just put a pointer on the new transaction that says this one commits whenever this other thing commits, and then the core system um, needs to deal with it. And I'm not sure which of these is better. I think I want to try the merging one because it doesn't, like my programming style as time goes on has been, don't complicate the core with things that most people don't care about. So if most transactions don't try to do a merge, maybe the core shouldn't know about merges, right? Maybe merges should be something we should do at a higher level if we can. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go merge with, okay, if merge with, we're just going to assert there's that if there is any conflict, must go after, must go before, the callee is expected to have noticed that and not tried to request a merge. Okay. Let me just do the plumbing here and get it to compile, right? So try move clones needs to go merge with is a move transaction, and this one I'm explicitly putting in all the return values because it's something I maybe want to be paranoid about. So this is going to be, anytime we get either of these, we're just going to return. Oh, this is null. We only get there for must go before cases. Okay, so then try move clones. Right, so we removed our should merge. Okay, we're going to go here. Um, okay, if there's no must go before, or is it commit time is greater than, wait, yeah. Okay, okay, I'm going to rename this. This is bananas. No, it's actually, this is okay. right? So if we are going to go before if we merge is sort of what we're saying, right? Sorry, merge with, right? So if we're saying we have to go before something, and this is before that thing, then I'm not even sure if anyone's sets must go before. I want to know if I'm ironically handling something that can't even happen. Yeah, nobody even sets it. So like, haha, nobody yet sets must go before at this writing, but we are checking anyway. So, return null, null, merge with, otherwise you don't request a merge. So we only request a merge if there aren't like other weird constraints, which by the way, there won't be. Does this even compile? No. Oh, did I not change? Okay. So this still isn't going to do anything, but we can make sure it still works. So we're going to say short game report merge with. So we're just making sure that this gets all the way up. Returning early with must go after is potentially bad. Why are we getting a million? Oh, because we're looping. Yeah. Sean says returning early with must go after is potentially bad since it could prevent a later in loop cloud from merging. Yeah, I mean, maybe I find this stuff pretty hard to think about. Let's see. You don't mean this loop. You mean like try move clones. This loop? This one here. So I don't think the way that I'm handling this, it's not actually bad because the outer loop, anytime you see a must go after, we just commit everything, right? So if we're going to commit everything, we're just not going to try merges, which, because there would be nothing to merge with because that Lily transaction will have moved. So I think if we try to get more refined about this later, then we definitely want to split these hairs, But right now, any must go after just kills all live transactions anyway. I should put that as a note here though, because it is a good point. So this early return in the case of must go after being true will mess things up if there are many clones and, for example, one of them wants to merge. Right now, any must go after causes us to commit all pending transactions, which means anything we would have wanted to merge with will be gone anyway. Right now, I am just trying to handle the single diagonal, the single character diagonal Lily case correctly. Once that is done, we can take a look at this. So I'm basically punting on that, but it is a good point that yeah, a must go after and must go before are all only because of user input. So this whole try move clones, this is explicitly for user input. This whole loop. Things like when you ride on something that happens elsewhere. Um, are there any other questions about what we are doing right now before I move on to the next step, which is actually trying to handle this? How is it only 11 p.m., man? I feel like it's later. 82 in your apartment? That seems a little warm. What is the dot stationary? That is an enum value. From context, you know what the type of the enum value is. It's a namespaced enum value. So that, like you don't have to do like the thing in C or C++ where you prefix all your enums with like either really long prefixes or really cryptic prefixes. You just don't have to prefix them. So you can have a common enum value like yes or whatever, and you don't have to worry about it polluting other things. That's like 48 Celsius, right? Something like that. No, I went the wrong way. I did 9/5 instead of 5/9. So I got an absurd temperature. Isn't that room? No, 82 Fahrenheit is not room temperature. 82 Fahrenheit is pretty warm. That's like an alley. Depends on the room. That is true. I mean, rooms could be at lots of temperatures, right? How much of the game was designed when you started working on the game full time? Almost none for any of these games. Like, working on it means figuring out what the design is. Like, how are you supposed to know, like, I mean, I guess you could say I'm not going to work full time on this until I know what all the puzzles are or whatever, but that doesn't make any sense. It takes a great deal of effort to come up with all these things. Should link to one of the talks about discovering the puzzles in the game. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I should just have a big list on the Twitch page of like, here are the things that we commonly link, right? But I kind of just don't want to invest that much in Twitch, I guess, psychologically is what's happening. I don't know. Could call it a fact. It's true. It's true. Are there any on-topic questions about exactly what we are doing before we move on? On-topic questions about this situation. Of course, the other thing we didn't check is that we don't accidentally detect this situation in times when we shouldn't. So I think I'm going to leave, even after we do the handling, I'm going to leave this up, this message, and um, if I ever see it while I'm playing and I don't feel like I should see it, then that's bad. I missed on the mixer money, it's true. I'm sure Mixer would have given me $30 million for our 3-digit attendance programming stream that sporadically shows on no schedule. It's not true. We've hit 4 digits before. That has definitely happened. It's just so weird that Microsoft had no ideas. It's like they kind of copied Twitch with a slightly different UI. And I guess web designers think that a slightly different UI is like enough to be a different service or something. I don't know, but like rip, you know, and then they just didn't. I guess they have higher bandwidth limit as well or something, but like they just didn't try that hard. If you're gonna go fight somebody who's an entrenched player, you gotta be ready to fight. I mean, I guess Shroud and Ninja was their idea of fighting. I don't even know. It's just so sad, man. There are so many things that you could do to make your actual streaming service better. So much things. Did I see the Apple event? No. I stopped watching Apple events a long time ago. Okay. Nobody has on-topic questions. Nobody cares what we're doing. I don't know why we stream any of this because nobody has any idea. All right. So I'm going to do an ugly thing where, oh, this is not even the right place. In this outer loop, so if we get a merge with, um, we're gonna, so revert transaction, I think, just, I don't even think we need to do that. I don't, I think revert transaction actually frees it. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to revert this. Um, and then we're returning whether we kept the transaction or oh, no, we don't even return anything. Okay. So I think we can just return here. Now, what do? We're going to say merge with player transaction. And this is honestly kind of scary and annoying. There's all sorts of weird stuff about this because we're not like so you notice there's a few times in the code when we check to see if something is a Lily transaction. And part of that deal is checking that or assuming that everything in the Lily transaction is a Lily that is moving or something it's supporting. You probably should check that. We might have a flag for that. Um, hmm. We're gonna look at that. Okay, so merge with player transaction. Well, merge with and transaction. Okay, what does that mean? Very simple. Other for player transaction dot single moves array add other t dot single moves. I mean, I honestly don't know about this. But well, okay. We don't have to set times or anything because those are set. So we do want to set blocking player. I don't know about player initiated. But this is definitely blocking player. Okay. We set that. Yeah. Let's just test it just in case for future. Mm, I'm gonna. Okay. We're gonna do this for all three of these because who knows? We might clear them at some point. I don't know. Setting player initiated What is that used for? Nothing. So maybe we should remove it. Okay. So, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I mean, we certainly could put more data on it. Let's just see what happens. Let's see how bad we blow up. Okay, well, he didn't actually move. So that's confusing. Why does my guy keep trying to go? Okay, hold on. Just have too many keystrokes buffered up. So we have Lily guy support. We're just like not, let's just see. Let's just see what's that is. Like maybe for some reason we're not actually adding the move. I bet we're not. Of course we're not. Yeah, we're not. We're not adding a move. Because we're, okay. Okay. This thing here, when we detect merge with, actually, no, not that merge with. This one, no. This one. Is we're returning too early because the time when we actually add the move to the player transaction is way later, right? Okay. Okay. So let's leave this here for a second. We're not going to return here. Okay. So we actually fiddlesticks. My idea about handling the merge locally is not going to work. So we're going to change all of these to return the merge. Oh, not all of them. So we need to declare this. Okay, now this stuff, the caller is going to handle. Because I don't want to have to think about this at every return point. Okay, so we do this thing. So if we have a merge with, if must go before and must go before dot commit time is less than. So if we have to go before the merge anyway, then merge with is null. Else if must go after and must go after dot commit time is greater than merge with dot commit time, merge with is null. Okay, so this just okay, else must go before is null, must go after is null. Okay. What do I say here? Only respect a merge if we don't have conflicting requirements on transaction time. If we respect the merge, just get rid of the before after constraints. I guess that's right. I don't know, man. Okay. Assertion failed. That's progress, I guess. Oh, wait, what? Oh, because, okay. I know why this happened. It's because I'm dumb. Um, so like, first of all, yeah, okay. No. Let's just do this. Okay. We're just gonna do that. Hey! Okay, well, the visuals got confused. That might have something to do with the fact that we're shoving stuff in the Lily transaction, but gameplay-wise, I am now able to do diagonal lilies, okay, which is pretty great. The thing is, we're not really detecting these yet for like if you're pushing a stone across them or something. This is just the most basic case, but like it's something. I actually don't really understand why it's having a cow, but this is good progress. Yeah, in the video we go into great length talking about issues and how this works. So why do we think that it gets so crazy here? Like, whoa, okay. It's because he's probably still supported. It's like first he's supported by what? This time he's all just correcting all the way back. It's like he got so far off, right? The reason he got so far off is if you watch, let's let him sync again. If you watch how he goes off initially, it's that he keeps traveling with with his source lily here, right? So he's going to keep going left, even though the thing he's stepping onto, right? See that? And then he corrects his way back. So that's that's obviously not supposed to happen. I think it's because we're doing something very confusing where like there's a thing in the system to break support when you're moving, but I think it might only look at other transactions. Um, so it's maybe not kicking in this case, but I'm just happy that I can move. Like I could, it's visually confusing, but like I could solve a level now that I couldn't solve before in a transactionally valid way, I think. Unless there's some ramifications to what we're doing here that I didn't think of, which is quite possible. But that's making games. Are there other cases where anti-parallel movement doesn't do what's expected, e.g. death beam moving opposite to player? I don't think so. Like, is it also on a lily pad, I guess? Right? Because if it's in a totally independent transaction, then I think we're fine, right? If it's in the lily transaction, um, so we could sort of, I don't think so. Let's open up the level for a second. So like, let's just say, that like like what Sean's talking about is, for example, there's like a dragon and it's on a lily. And the thing is, okay, so if this is going up, this is going down. So let's say these are going down as well. I mean, the player is going to get fried by this, even though he's moving diagonally, because when he moves diagonally, that's in the same transaction when the dragon moves and everything. So he's fine. Actually, the weird thing is he will not get fried by default if he doesn't move, right? But that's nothing to do with the handling. Oh, well, hold on. So the thing is, you can't actually do that. Let me just put the dragon on this, right? Um, the player will never get fried because we're just on alternate things. And that has nothing to do uh, with what we did. It's always been what would happen. So like maybe we need to adapt this check that we've added to check for this, or maybe we just need to not build this level. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's actually the opposite. It's that he will get fried if he syncs with the dragon by crossing. I mean, in principle, the player should get toasted here. It's just, right now I'm focusing just on level solvability. We can do this same thing for Dragon later if we want. So like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, I'm sure many people here weren't here at the beginning, but so the thing that we're doing right now is only valid up until the Lily transaction commits, right? Which means you have less leeway about when you can move than you do for many other transactions. Now, Lily's move kind of slow, so that's okay, but you still have to move a little bit early for this to kick in and for you to be able to go diagonally. We could do this same detection that we're putting in right now, but do that detection before we even think the player is trying to move. Like when we do a Lily move, we can say, hey, one of these Lilies is moving anti-parallel to the other with the player on it. Player might decide to move. So when we're generating this Lily transaction, let's put the commit time further in the future to give the player more leeway to decide to move or not, to make the movement more comfortable, right? Um, at that time, we could do something like notice that there's a frickin' dragon that is going to cross, like anti-cross with the player and like do something there, right? Or really anti-cross with anything that it can kill. It's just like that's bananas because like Dragon Breath can bounce off mirrors and whatever. Like at some point, if you're not going to just completely speculatively run the universe with different hypotheses, at some point, I think we punt and just say, don't build that level, right? Um, or maybe there's a more robust way to check for it. Like maybe we just flag it as these guys look like they crossed relative to each other, and then you do some kind of special check of the dragon's new position against the player's old position. I don't know. I'm not sure how to solve this in the general case right now. Okay. Anyway, let's look at trying to solve this visual problem about walking on the lilies. If I can do that, then I can go to bed. Um, so what's going on is, so if you look at the support move here, right after it changes, right? So we're going 7-6 to 6-6, and after I start moving, that support hasn't gone away, right? And that's not that good. So I want to look at how we usually do this. I honestly don't. Do we sit? Convert support moves to visual? That's a different thing. Although maybe not. Um, so when we close, okay, when we close a transaction, we do this. But this transaction is already closed. and we're just adding stuff onto it. So I think we put this in a function that we call. Let's see what else happens here. Oh no. We have to do this stuff down here. Otherwise things will break. So maybe we call close on the transaction. I mean, that should be okay. And then let's try that. I don't know. Oh, and no, all this should probably happen. I mean, it seems a little weird to do that. Because close sort of says we're really going to do this, and then we like undo. I don't know. We may need more expressivity about what's really happening. All right. Well, I mean, it's still whack, but it's not as whack. Maybe it is as whack. Maybe we didn't fix anything. Maybe I just like to think that. Okay, it did change it to visual support. See that? Maybe this is just how it always is, and it sucks, and we haven't noticed. Whoops. Let me do this, and then that, and like, it's not even going to be a diagonal situation. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, which directions is these? Now we want, let's go that way. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So these should pass directly over each other. I just want to see if that's just really messed up. Didn't look really messed up, but I can't see for several reasons, including that the camera is in a messed up place, and we had our debug build frame rate stalls. I mean, it's a little whack, but it's not that bad. So we get a visual support and a move with a controller proc. The visual support goes away halfway. That might be what's not happening. And then we get support once we end. Okay. So okay, so does the visual support go away? No, it never does. So yeah, let's see why. Who does that? I don't see anything that removes these. I'm just so, like, I wrote all this code and I'm just so confused by all of it. I am, however, less confused than I was with any of the previous movement systems, so it is progress. But man, but man. Why two different representations of time? If you watch the video, try moving one of them one spot so I'm between tiles. No, because I know what's going to happen. That's just what we're already testing. I wanted to know what happens normally. The transaction system is a workaround to the fact that you want to be turn-based but look like real time. No, it is a solution to the engineering problem of doing those things. And it's not just to appear real time, but it's to be real time as well. Okay. Like if the game were actually turn-based with no real-time events, this would be tremendously easier. So watch the video before you start dissing people about things that you don't have any idea what you're talking about. Generally good life advice. That said, the video is like 5 hours long, so I apologize for that, but it is a complex issue where there are many relevant factors. No, it's just, I'm not taking it as too disrespectful. It's just people say this like every time. And it's like, look, we went and explained for a long time, like why this is the way it is. And so it's just a little annoying to hear people say, well, why don't you just blah, right? And the reason why we didn't just blah is there's a lot of reasons for it, and we explained it all. I mean, I say we, like Sean didn't program any of this, but he has worked on games very relevant to this code base, I would say, in some ways, and understands the problem, right? And so we talk through like what the problem is and all that. Um, Believe me, if I knew anything simpler to do, I would have done it. This is like version 5 or 6 of this movement system. So it's not like I just sat down and programmed something and it like, oh, it's wrong or it's too complicated. It's like, no, this is like version 5 or version 6 of this system because the previous versions failed to do what we needed them to do. Instead of lily pads, you can flatten an ice block and color it green. We could, for sure. For sure. Um, so I would like to fix this before signing off for the night. I don't exactly, like debugging this is a little bit of a pain if I don't know where to look. Like maybe we check this field. Right? I mean, that's not really that helpful. We have this thing where we decide not to do this, but um, But that doesn't have to do, so the support was definitely being removed. I'm not sure. I'm just getting a little tired at this point. There's just so much that happens. I feel like the total size of the system has increased with each version. Not necessarily. I would say it maybe has increased a little bit lately just because we're actually handling now all these cases that the older systems didn't handle. So there was no code attempting to handle them because I knew it just wouldn't work, right? Um, this system is probably, before accounting for handling extra stuff, it's probably about the same size as the previous system, roughly. But I don't know, I didn't measure it. It would be too ugly and inconsistent with the rest of the game to just have the lily pads just move in steps without animation. Yes, and then also those aren't the only things that can move. Um, and like as a player, judging timing is hard when things move discontinuously like that, right? And again, so part of the thesis of the entire game is that our value add, or part of our, I mean, of course, we're coming up with really interesting gameplay rules additionally to what we're building on, and we're coming up with really nice levels. We have a lot, yeah, some of the levels that have been made lately are really nice. Um, but one of the core parts of the thesis is that we're doing nice visuals and nice game feel. Okay, that's like part of the fundamental value add that we are developing on top of the idea of these being turn-based puzzle games. And so if we fail to do that, we're not really delivering what we said we were going to deliver, right? If we're just like, oh, it's too hard, we're just going to have some of these entities teleport, then we failed at that core deliverable. And I do not like to fail at things. We haven't really failed at anything major on either of the previous two games, so I don't want to start now. If you establish your world as turn-based, the rules become easier to understand. You're saying nonsense. We don't have the choice to do that. Like, a completely turn-based game is a different game. And yes, it would be much easier to program. It would be a different game. So please watch the video. We talk about all this in the video. So if you're going to argue with us about this, it's really annoying and really pointless because we explained all of this in great detail. If you care enough to watch the video, great. If you don't care enough to watch the video, don't bother us about it. We made the information available. Okay. Once again, I should stop getting annoyed at what one person in chat is saying when there's like a couple hundred people. I don't actually know. The Twitch client doesn't put out how many people are there, but like it just derails when I start doing that. So I just need to like freeze people out when they start saying this kind of thing. All right. My question is, what do I do? Um I don't know what is an expedient way to debug this. Like I could start doing things like reset up that test case and look for when the number of things in a transaction decreases. Like I can set a data breakpoint on the array. Let's set up that scenario again. This is kind of stupid because it's not even the scenario that I want to debug, but like sometimes this is what you got to do. You've got to be like, okay, I don't have the knowledge right now. Actually, I don't think this was a good debug build. So let me do this and run it in debugger. Yeah, like of course, I mean, the point of the game has expanded over time as it seemingly does with every game that I work on. Um, but a big part of the point of the game initially, so the core thesis of the game was A, um, start with some material from other puzzle designers that is really good, but that a lot of people in the world don't know about uh, because people bounce off the presentation, right? Or it just doesn't get word of mouth because of that, right? So find really good puzzle designs. Uh, B, put those together in a way that remedies that presentation thing so that people don't bounce off it immediately, right? And then also have a value add from uh, making an anthology of all these things together. So it's a bigger package than any of the things individually. So maybe it's big enough that people might buy that thing, right? And as it turns out, we've gone way, way, way beyond. Like, there's going to be so many levels in this game. And honestly, you know, as it turns out, we agreed to probably pay the original designers more of a royalty than proportionally makes sense. Um, but that's fine. It's all good. You know, if the game is that successful, then everybody makes money and we're happy. Um, but like that was sort of the core. The core thing was like, you know, better graphics and sound than the original games had. What does that mean? It means, uh, well, 3D meshes. And, well, I don't want to get too much into this, right? Because if we say too many things, it's like announcing the game, which I don't want to do. But like, it's having stuff in 3D with nice graphics, with continuous graphics, better game feel, which means, you know, good sound, good visual representation on the screen of things that matter. And actually, early on, I wasn't completely sure if it was going to be continuous motion between grid squares. But as soon as you try that, as soon as you have a game where things just pop around between grid squares and you just turn on a simple interpolation, it feels way better, like immediately. And so it became clear in early experimentation that continuous motion was part of what we were doing. Anyway, right. I mean, that's exactly true. Promised was continuous from day one, and some of the other source material was not. And you can see the difference in game feel between them both, just toggling back and forth. Um, Although Promised has its own slight game feel issue about the movement being slow for other reasons, but again, you know, you still see the difference between continuous and not continuous. It matters just a lot. Um, I don't know. That must have been a mistake. Okay, so let's do this data breakpoint thing. Yeah, dude, I'm super impressed that you managed to make that game in 3 days, and I guess Promise 2 as well. Like, I don't exactly know how you did that. I mean, maybe, I mean, I sort of know because, like, I mean, I saw the way the data is represented and how the game is sort of designed around uh, simplicity there, right? Um, but still, it's pretty good to design that game in a weekend. So we have visual support, and then it disappears and gets replaced by another support. Okay, hold on. Is it the same? I think it's the same transaction ID, right? So this is uh, transaction transaction 6 has the visual support of the guy and the two lilies, right? And I might have gone too late. Like the transaction's going to end. Yeah, okay, hold on. I need my guy to move faster. Okay, transaction 6. So I should be able to go. Yeah, I can, which is nutty, but here we are. This is the earliest possible time that I can go. So yeah, the visual support does get removed. So what I want to do is reproduce that, but set a data breakpoint, and I can figure out where that happens. How do I get the data breakpoint? Well, you can update the transactions, or go to the transaction update. Yeah, sorry for getting annoyed at the comments. Like I know that people don't know. I mean, people don't know all the things that have been said before about the game, so I shouldn't really get annoyed at that. All right, let's just go here because we know this is a thing. Go here. So t single moves dot count. This is 1, so this is the wrong transaction. Wait, what? Ooh, let's not do that. Really? Okay, there we go. We must exit out. Oh, because it's not. Wait. Okay, I'm confused, but whatever. This is what we wanted. I want to set a data breakpoint here and say, when does this get reduced? All right, let's see. Should happen right about the time we cross the middle line. There we go. Wait, really? Oh, it's a remove right here. Remove support moves. Well, that makes sense. So we have to ask, why does this happen? It might be, well, we probably set this skip or whatever. Okay, so we know that this happens in do physical moves, and we know that skip is false. But I thought it was visual support. Oh, oh, this is the other transaction. Right, okay. I bet we just don't look in our own transaction. Right, to exclude. Yeah, is, okay. So the problem is to exclude is the transaction that we're committing, and we're saying remove support moves from other transactions, but not this one. So I think when we do the merge, for now, I'm just going to set a flag on it that says don't exclude your own thing from this. And the problem is, I mean, we're sort of editing this array as we iterate over it, which actually is bad in this case. So like, oh my God, what a pain in the ass, but at least we know what we have to do. Okay. Let's go here. We'll make a new flag on the transaction. Okay. Okay. Why are you dissing Sean in chat? What is your problem? His presence in the video was a net negative on its clarity. I don't think so, because we wouldn't have been able to have a conversation with just me sitting there saying stuff. Yeah, dude, you're just getting annoying at this point. There are all sorts of reasons, as a game designer, there's all sorts of reasons why you say just don't make that level. Okay, the goal is to make sure that you don't ever say don't make that level for things that feel important for the game to do. There's always levels that you're not going to try to make. Like in The Witness, there's all sorts of things that we could have made that would have broke the game. There's all sorts of things in Braid that we could have made that would have broke the game. It's just that those things are not necessary to the game for it to be good and for it to be complete, right? And so it's the same thing here. Don't make that level is a perfectly reasonable answer if making that level would not add much to the game. All right. And it's part of the reality of game development that for just about any game, don't make that level is like a legit thing. For just about any game. And in fact, the more complicated the game is and the more complicated the engine is, the more often you might end up saying that. Can I give an example of a level I didn't make for The Witness or Braid? You mean for this reason? Well, in Braid, for example, certain of the time abilities are not ever crossed with each other. Like they're not ever active at the same time. So like we don't have time and space as the same thing, like World 4, and parallel universe with, you have a shadow dude who goes off and does stuff, right? I thought about that. But we could have supported that kind of thing, but it was like, well, it doesn't really add that much to the game. It seems like it's only really going to result in really messy levels that don't have a clear point, or that are just ugly. And you know what? If I draw the boundary here, then I have a very clean game that's understandable and orderly and has a point. Now, it's not that none of the things interact, because the idea of something being rewind exempt, it just always goes forward in time, lasts throughout the whole game. That's not just a World 3 thing. But I did say don't make that level when it comes to some of this other stuff. Part of that was to make the programming less of a pain or make the polishing the game less of a pain. But honestly, part of it was like, I just don't see the point of making that level. It's not going to be that good. You work in AAA? I mean, do you do programming in AAA? Because if you do, you should understand exactly what I mean by don't make that level, because AAA games do that all the time. Okay. I mean, don't make that level has been a bastion of AAA development for as long as the term AAA development has existed. Are you kidding me? Okay. Um, in fact, lots of AAA development consists of designers making a level, and then after they've made the level, the programmer's looking at it and saying, "Don't make that level, bro." That happens all the time. Okay. So what now I've lost what we were even doing. So we were in this remove support moves. Skip is getting set to true. Oh, right. No, it's not that. It's we want to check this flag. Um, right. So remove support moves is to exclude, right? So now we're whoops, we're gonna have a problem. Like I said, um, effects t dot flags and um, dot is merge result then um, null else. I don't know if this will actually work. Let's see. Let's see if experimental feature effects works in that case. It does. Okay, great. Okay. So we have this problem that remove support moves is going to iterate over the frickin' thing that we are uh, editing. So maybe a different way to do it. I mean, traditional ways of handling this would be just like um, deferring the removal, like making a record of things that you want to remove and removing them after the iteration. It might be, I don't really want to do that in this case. Looking Glass was always the designers made this level, fix the code so it works. I mean, that's what I do too, but there's just a threshold, man, where you just don't try to go past it because it's going to get crazy, right? Why are AAA games called AAA? It's because they used to be played on handheld devices that were powered by AAA batteries, right? Such as the original Nintendo Game Boy. So if you made a Game Boy game back then, it was called a AAA game, and then the terminology stuck, even though those devices are no longer the primary ones that are used. A little bit of video game history for you. All right, let's try to do something about this. It's past midnight. I honestly don't know what to do here. This is kind of a mess because there's like a lot of code here, and um, could just like copy that. Nope. Okay. I guess we can remove the support moves later. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, like I said, one of the ways to do it is to defer the removal. We could always do really stupid, ugly things. Like we could sort the support moves to the end if it's merged, and then removing them will not disturb our iteration. Oh God, do I want to do that? That's creepy and gross, but it only has a performance cost for merge result things. Well, I mean, I could. Okay, let's not do that, but let's say deferred support removals is well, let me look at a different thing to do. So what we could do is always call this excluding that transaction and then call some subroutine of this on that transaction only when we're done iterating. So let me just check what this does and can we factor something out. So like here, for every transaction, we say do this and return. And we don't even use the return value. Does anyone get rid of the return value? Nope, nobody cares. So I'm going to do this. And then we're going to say this is a little confusing. See, this is weird because the arguments are going to be the same, but this one means a different thing. Okay. Okay. That's kind of error prone, honestly, and I don't love it. I don't love it. Okay. So we're just going to cut this. We don't actually need this found because we're only using that to return something, so that's good. Okay. So then here we don't do this. We always exclude T. Okay, but oh my God, so many braces. Can't see it on this tiny laptop screen. Okay. Okay, so if it's a merge result, we need to remove support transactions from the transaction itself, which we didn't want to do while iterating. above because disturb the iteration. So if this oh geez. We need to save the entities, but that's no big deal because we don't pay any cost for that. Okay, for deferred removals. Okay, so here we're going to go array add. Well, we'll pay the cost of the if, but whatever. Entity. Okay. So deferred removals is an array of entity ID and deferred removals.allocators temp. Okay, great. How much did we screw up there? Entity ID. Well, I obviously screwed that up, even though it's so easy. Okay. Well, everybody, how bad did I do it? Okay, this case we don't know because this is not the case. Hey, look how much better that is. I mean, it's still a little goofy, but it's better. I would qualify this as playable and not, I mean, I don't think I would make a level with a little 2x2 here because that's stupid, but you know, this is good enough for now. It's got a little bit of slideys, but this is like the most pathological case, so I'm not too worried about it. I don't know why his animation is. Oh, he's falling. Why is he falling? Okay, that's actually. That's actually not okay. We're not done here. He should never start falling. So we have to debug this. But the basic problem is handled, and this is great. Well, I mean, we'll see. Maybe there's some really weird reason that's hard to solve about why he's starting to fall. But this is good because we've just never been able. We've never been able to handle this for the whole time of the whole game, and like now we're handling it. All right. So I'm just going to start this. There should be no reason for this guy ever to fall. So we're going to go into falling here. And oh, look, we were debugging a falling thing before. We're right in the right place on the code. Okay, so why does he start falling sometimes? We don't care about this. Hold on. Okay, wait. He's in the falling animation, but we never call start falling. So the lesson last time was that we did call add falling move, even though we never started a thing falling. Right? Wasn't that what it's called? Oh, wrong file. Add falling move. Okay, let's see if we get that. No? What? Why does he go to state falling? Oh, you know what? So the animation system is probably asking if he has support. I bet we're not adding support for some reason. Yeah, like we're not adding back the support on the target guy. Oh, until the end. Now, okay. So this thing that I just did for handling the removal of the support is, um, it's a very general case thing, but we actually have a very special case situation. We know this guy is moving from one lily pad to another lily pad. And we could just frickin' say, swap the support from one thing to another thing. Like that could just be on the transaction. Um, the thing is, we don't really save that information right now, but we could. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to be very explicit about this because that's what I've found. Like, as you become a better programmer, well, as you get more programming experience, you keep trying to get better about things. And what I've learned is that when what you really want is to do a specific thing, be very specific about what you're doing, even if it seems weird and even if it's counter to what they taught you in computer school. Because when you're very general about things, it looks like the system is trying to handle a general problem, and that can complicate the system. It can make it harder to understand for you or someone else who comes along later. Whereas if you're doing a very specific thing, that is very self-documenting in the code, and you don't have to be confused about what is going on, right? Or what kind of cases this is supposed to handle. So here's what we're going to do. This is very stupid, all right? We're going to get rid of this deferred removals thing that I just did. Get rid of this. We're going to say, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to assert t dot stepping off lily ID, merge. These are about merging. Although, oh, this doesn't work, guys. Not in the naive way. Because remember, there could be a bunch of clones, and more than one could be doing diagonally operations. Okay, but we could flag the controller proc, and that way we know the source lily. Oh, and because, okay, yeah, this is fine. So what the other thing we did in this loop is do physical moves, right? Which is the thing during transaction commit that actually changes the gameplay state. After that is done, the guy's support should be updated. Or is that from the outer? Oh, it's in the outer. Um, could do this in the outer loop, right? Because this only gets called from one place, I believe, for good reason. Yeah, let's do that. Because again, why pollute the core with this stuff? Okay, so do physical moves gets called here. All right. Um, this is things disappearing. This is reevaluating. Supports to update. Okay, we're just going to do it down here. Okay. We're going to say um, any visual moves in this transaction not handled by remove support moves, because you don't, in that routine, don't edit your own transaction, but in the case of a merge, you want to do this. My explanation ability is degrading as it gets later at night. So we could put it on the move itself. That'll take like extra memory, but we don't care. So for t.single moves, source single move info, and it's not visual support. Continue, and then it's like supported by ID, right? Other.move info dot supported by ID equals source single dot merge stepping onto ID, or just check supported by ID on the entity. They should match on the player entity. Okay. So we need to add these. So on the single move, okay. Then here we set merge with yeah. So there's a weird thing where we might set these fields and then what a garbage. We don't, okay. The problem now is that this function is what knows this information. and we like add the move later, right? Oops, I goofed here. Um, oops, missed it. Okay. So we need to return that info from here and then do this. You can see I'm getting tired when I didn't close my blocks, man. Okay. So this is starting to get a little tenuous, like passing all this data around. I don't like it, but okay. Okay. Stepping off ID is found dot MDID. I think it's there. All right, false 0, 0. True stepping off ID, stepping onto ID. And hopefully I did that. Okay. Probably broke it. Probably broke it. Oh boy, yes we did. So we're back to chaos. Well, so the question is, did these data elements not get moved all the way to where they need to get? Or are we failing the support search, right? I feel like it's maybe the latter, but we'll see. So I want to look for didn't I put that here? Where is it? Right? It's at the bottom of this. Line 18 something. No, line 1809. Okay, we're just gonna go there. Okay. That's not going to be it because that's a lily. This is a lily. That's support, which is not actually what we're looking for. We're looking for controller proc. Controller proc. Okay. It's 0. So we didn't set it. All right. That's not that big of a surprise. Um, okay. Check this. So those are non-zero, which is correct. So, when I supposedly poked them, wait, what? Oh, I did a noob error. Guys, I need to fix my programming language. I am a noob, 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 newbie McNooberton, the third, the first, actually. All right. Hey, that looked good. That looked good, right? To do. Oh, he's still falling again, though. Why was he falling? Okay, we're gonna debug this later. Um, so if the thing that I did is not going to solve the falling problem, I'm not sure I like it, right? So we're going to have to figure out why that happens. Yeah, that's gonna get debugged in the morning. It might actually be that the way that we check in the animation state machine is doing something weird, and everything that I did here is spurious. I don't know. So we're gonna call that where it's at for now. And we will see. We will question this in the morning. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming by. Are there any final on-topic questions on what we did today? This was good progress because I didn't even know if we would successfully be able to do this, and we did, although there is one remaining problem, which is that the guy goes into the falling animation. He's not even falling as far as the gameplay is concerned. So I may have jumped to conclusions about what the right fix was. If the player speed is significantly higher than lily speed, should player be able to make multiple diagonal moves during time of single lily pad move? Um, in principle, I suppose so, right? Like if they were, if it was like a zigzag where they're all going past the same column, um, I don't know if this architecture, I would have to think about how to handle that honestly, because um, like, well, I mean, the way we sort of handle things is if you saw that try move clones function before where we loop over and move the guys, it's like the way it works is wait till a player move, wait till any transactions that are blocking player input are done. That way you can press keys and like buffer things up and they don't get confused if like you're pushing a block in the water and you want to wait for the block to go into the water so you can keep going, right? So what we do is we wait till those transactions are done, we pull the next thing and we do it. So with that structure, there would be no way to do what you're talking about because if you tap the input twice, um, we wait for the first input to complete. Um, the transaction fired by that input to complete, which would be the crossing the first diagonal, right? Before we would even look at the input and realize there's a second one. So to work around that, we would have to sneak a look at the input queue and sort of run player motion ahead of time, but it has to be like a general running of player motion. You can't just look at the input queue because like maybe the next move would be a teleport or do something weird, right? Um, so that sounds very hairy, and that the answer there may just be we don't handle that. Like the answer might be, um, is it possible that you shouldn't be merging it? Um, well, so the other approach, okay, so the lily pad actually is still around. That transaction is still around, and we could merge another player motion into there if we wanted to. The issue is really knowing that you want to do that. And I feel like that would require a different architecture, right? So the architecture here is trying to be very simple. It's like, you know, hey, if you do a move, we're just looking at the current world state. If we get confused because there seem to be conflicts between what we want to do and the current world state, commit any pending transactions and then try again, and then there won't be any confusion, right? What we don't typically do is say, well, we're taking a player input and we're going to run that on a future world state. And then when we get to that time, we make the future world state happen. You know what I mean? So we buffer up the inputs as opposed to buffering up world states. And I feel like we would have to buffer up world states to handle what you're talking about either way, like whether we physically merge the data in the transaction or not, because the issue is sort of just knowing that there's another move buffered up and doing the right thing in response to that, whatever it is, right? Um, like I don't think the fundamental issue is is what we did here. It's deeper than that. um, like the reason that works, you know, the reason that works normally is just that, well, these lily pads were in a certain physical position when you started your first move, and they're still there when you do the second move, right? But that's kind of, that's almost incidental in some way, right? Um, like it wouldn't work if the movement was a lot more complicated than going in a straight line or something. I don't know. I need to think about it. I need to think about it. But I feel like we would have to be looking at the future state of the world or buffering world state to do that correctly in the general case anyway. Maybe that's not true. Okay. Don't make that level as a fine answer. Yeah, maybe. I mean, but part of the issue, it's interesting. Part of the issue here is part of the reason solving diagonal Lily is so important is because um, you can't exactly don't make that level. It's really hard to not make that level because players can set lily pads in motion, right? In somewhat arbitrary ways that you may not be able to foresee and prevent as a level designer, right? Or and so you kind of have to handle it. Now, that said, for wrapping levels or levels with where the lilies are in rivers that would bring them around more than once, um, this does solve that problem. It's just like if you had to jump across 3 really fast, uh, you would just have to wait till the next cycle to get from 2 to 3, which is not great, but it does mean the level is solvable. So there's a phase transition that has happened from unsolvable to solvable. Um, there is a certain class of levels where that wouldn't be true. Like you get one chance as the thing goes by, and if you missed it because you did the previous one, you can never get on it, right? And that I feel like don't make that level is reasonable for that. Um, the number of levels where you have to go across 3 lily pads in in a non-looping fashion is basically 0 because I think we don't want to set up that kind of timing challenge anyway. Um, so we just don't do that anyway. But I will continue to think about it because it is an interesting, like, even though this movement system is more hardcore than our previous systems, it is not like the most hardcore thing we could have done. We could be evaluating future world state every time you do anything. Although maybe not, because like then what happens when a timed event happens in before a world state that we evaluated, we would have to invalidate that and reevaluate it. So we would have to keep the moves around. It would be a lot like an Intel CPU, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I don't know about that. We'll see. But I will think about it. I'm very happy that the gameplay part of this is solved. I just have to solve this animation problem. And maybe this thing I did for the last 20 minutes is a good way to do it. Maybe it's not. I don't like what it turned into. So I would like to look at it fresh tomorrow morning and see can we do something simpler to solve that problem. Which is why I put this no check in here. Maybe we should delete these variables and that code that passes them around. I'm not sure. We'll take a look at it. Also like client-side player prediction. Yeah, it's a lot like that. What you meant to say is that it might reduce the amount of questions about the transaction systems. This video that's easier to digest. I mean, I know. The problem is like, look, making videos is not my job. Making games and now programming languages apparently is my job, and I'm already way behind on those things of where I mean, I'm not way behind in any objective sense because like it's just a lot of work to do these, but I would like to do these things a lot faster. And you know, the like when I go give a speech and it's a very filtered, tight, thought about presented thing, that takes me out of being able to work on anything else for probably a week, realistically, because there's a little bit of burnout that happens after working intensely and stuff. Like, so it takes usually 2 to 3 days to prep the speech, 1 day to give it, and then recovery time. And like that's just a long time every time I want to talk about something. So I can't do that every time. Or the actual games will never get. And not only will the actual games never get done, but in order to have good things to talk about, you have to have done the work, right? And if I'm not doing enough of the work, the speeches won't be good. You know what I mean? Like all of us who have gone to GDC a bunch have seen people go up and talk about stuff when they haven't really done enough of the work. And in fact, I've been that person in the past, and I don't want to be that person, right? So for all these reasons, you get what you get when it comes to that. Now, maybe somebody else might want to make a supercut of the video that shortens it. But honestly, I look at it as like, look, how interested are you in the topic, right? Are you interested enough to watch most of a 5-hour video at 1.5x speed, which is how I watch a lot of long things, right? If you're not, then cool, whatever. Not everybody has to like that video, not everybody has to watch the video, but some small number of people may get something out of it. So if you're not interested enough to watch it, then that's fine. That's not a negative. You don't have to be. It's a very niche subject matter, I would say. But for some people out there, it might be very useful. And so that's why we did it. All right, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you, everybody, for coming by, and I'll see you later. We might work on this again in the morning. I really have other projects I need to roll off onto, but I don't want to leave this half done. So we may do this in the morning. All right. Thanks, everybody.